Hello, I was so excited to come on stage. I think I went a little early and that makes them all nervous. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm Thomas and I'm the CEO of GitHub. But I'd like to say I'm Thomas and I'm a developer. I've loved building things with technology, with software almost my entire life. Beginning with my childhood in East Berlin, back before the wall fell. And that love only increased when I got access to the internet in the mid-1990s, and even more so through the rise of open source. Today, with artificial intelligence, we stand at an inflection point that has been brewing since the advent of the home computer. All of our advances in the past 50 years have led us to the intersection that we now stand in. And the biggest opportunity is, what will we do with it? And what we will do with the risk at hand. Now, if you recall, in the 1970s and 80s, the world was riding high on a hype very similar to the one that we're experiencing today with artificial intelligence. It was the home computer, it was new, it felt radical. And until this point, if you remember, computers were shared resources in big corporations, in the government, in universities. You had to book a time slot in some office, get in line and run your computation for a few minutes until you had to give up your slot. The home computer looked to promise a new age of productivity for the everyday worker. And even in these early days, growth was exponential across computers that today almost no one remembers. The Mac and the PC came in and the gold rush started. And the demand signified the early hope. There was something truly novel that was about to revolutionize our way of work and life. And it did. Over the last decades, investment in IT shot through the roof in the United States and around the world. But despite this gold rush of IT investments, the rate of productivity increases did not go up. In fact, at that moment in time, with the birth of the PC, productivity growth did not accelerate at all. It flatlined. This is what triggered the famous quote from Robert Solow in 1987, "Computers are everywhere except in the productivity statistics." And this statement reflected a new way of thinking about this point in time that we call the productivity paradox. It's as simple as this. Investments in tech went up, productivity stayed flat, especially in the United States. Now, over time, we have certainly experienced growth in productivity, from making software developers more productive, to the benefits technology is bringing to us in our personal lives, to the software that is controlling our vehicles. And many Asian countries have certainly stood to benefit greatly over the past decades. But looking back, the home computer has enabled us to read, write, and edit our work in a digital form. It started the age of computation. The internet then was the vessel that connected humanity together. It allowed us to share our work and communicate digitally. The internet and later the smartphone, the computer in our pockets, have become the foundation of global collaboration, of the global economy. And it's that information that we created, edited, and shared together on the home computer and the internet in the last 50 years that is now making artificial intelligence machines possible. Our life is so much better because of computers. They were the change agent for the bigger picture. The strides and the leaps that we have taken in technology were all meant to get us to this point today. And last December, I was actually here in Singapore. The Big Bang happened with ChatGPT. It made us realize that machines have become intelligent enough to work with us, to generate for us, directed by us. Recently, Harvard released a new study that found that workers using ChatGPT were 40% more productive with AI. 40% is remarkable. Think about what that would have meant during the industrial age. What would 40% mean in the production line? In an automaker assembly line, what would have that meant in the past, and what even would it mean today? But it goes further than that. Last year in June of 2020, we launched GitHub Copilot to the world, the first at-scale tool that writes code for software developers. You can think about it as an AI assistant that predicts the code that your developers want. It's integrated into their environment, so they don't have to change their workflow. They just type their code on the keyboard, and it predicts the next line. Or multiple lines, boilerplate code as we call it, even complex algorithms. And after less than 6 months in the market, our research found that developers were already 55% faster when using Copilot. And it's not exact science, but if you compare that to the Industrial Revolution in the late 1800s, the steam engine improved productivity by around 22%. And the steam engine foundationally changed our way of life. The productivity gains from AI are not only undeniable, they're finally fulfilling the expectations that we had ever since the personal computer appeared on our desks. It's safe to assume with AI, we are not emerging into another generation of the productivity paradox, but rather we're entering an age of productivity polarity. We live in a fragmented, divided world with contradicting approaches to quite nearly everything. And it's because of that dissonance that I believe we will enter an age of productivity polarity between industries, private sector investments, and different types of government regulations. Countries and organizations that figure out how to purpose AI with reduced risk will exist in a different spectrum of productivity entirely. And those who don't will fall behind. Now, let's start with industries. Now, it's clear that there is a boom in investments by enterprise organizations. In fact, 50% of all organizations have adopted AI in at least one business area already. Let's look under the hood. What industries are those actually being made in? For example, we are seeing the gains go disproportionately to the tech sector, as you can see in the study issued by Accenture. Now, of course, it makes sense, right, that the technology sector would be the first to adopt new technology. But if other industries don't follow, they will sit on the wrong side of the polarity. We need to generate a moment of productivity equilibrium. And I'm certain that AI has the potential to light up the global economy in a way that we have not seen since the Industrial Revolution. But for us to achieve this, we must invest in AI to benefit all workers, blue collar and white collar, from manufacturers to mathematicians, from traders to technicians, to accelerate human progress with AI. The early evidence of the polarity is even starker in private sector investment across countries. According to Goldman Sachs, the productivity gains that we will experience with AI could surge the global GDP by $7 trillion. And I actually think this is a conservative number. The reality will be much higher. At GitHub, our own research found that just AI-powered developer tools alone could boost the economy by $1.5 trillion by 2030. This is just AI-powered tools that we have today. And it's just that one sector of workers, software developers, without any innovation in the next 7 years. And it will be the private sector investments that will fuel new startups and turn them into global unicorns. It will fuel even more of this economic gain that we're seeing in these early studies. There are thousands of AI startups out there that could be the next Microsoft, Google, or Tesla. And all these giants are US-based today. And for now, it's looking like most of the AI innovation is concentrated in Silicon Valley and on the US West Coast again. We're repeating the mistakes of the 1990s. This report from Stanford says it all. As of now, the United States is dominating the world in private sector investments in AI. And while I live in Seattle, you might have heard already, I'm a German citizen, and I deeply love my home country. Germany is the largest economy in Europe, yet there are little investments in AI. I want Germany to succeed. And I want this for Singapore, for Asia, for the rest of the world, for all the world's citizens too. So we must activate public-private partnerships, fostering innovations by individuals, where new startups can become the GDP-driving tech giants of tomorrow. And the greatest change will happen at the roots. I believe there will be a greater wave of AI startups than during the internet wave in the 1990s or the smartphone wave after 2008. We must nurture a startup ecosystem where founders can innovate wherever they live. And accelerating this individual innovation goes to the heart of my third point of polarity, which is government regulation. In February, I traveled to Brussels to speak out as the EU was drafting the world's first comprehensive attempt at regulating AI with the European AI Act. Policymakers everywhere are taking note. And it's actually encouraging to see as the European Union is focused on reducing the risk from AI so we can seize its benefits. From the EU to the US to Canada, Japan, Brazil, and beyond, policymakers are working with humility and seeking diverse inputs today. And striking the right balance in regulation is really tough, especially in such a fast-moving and fragmented world as ours. So it's never been more important to create a set of globally aligned standards. Efforts like the AI Verifier toolkit here in Singapore or the NIST risk management framework in the United States are great examples of how to get it right. What we all don't want is workers in different countries benefiting from AI at different levels. Imagine your software developers in the US are getting 55% faster, but those in Singapore are only 25% faster due to different regulatory environments. That would be terrible. And this is why I also believe that regulatory compliance burden should not be a one-size-fits-all. Individual researchers and small group of innovators should not be held accountable to the same standards as big international corporations that have large compliance teams. It is encouraging to see that the regulatory efforts today focus on high-risk AI models and high-risk use cases, and not directly on the community of developers and researchers who sit at the heart of the innovation. Because otherwise, we will extinguish individual innovation before the flame is lit. You know, polarity is probably a truly confounding word. There is as much upside as there is downside. But I hope you don't come away from this scared or worried. We are just at the beginning of the age of AI, the age of Copilot. We just stepped foot into this new reality. And when you think about back to the rise of the home computer and the internet, those companies have gone on to define our lives. But they did not reach the stars right away, right? Look at Amazon and e-commerce. The internet was conceived not until 1983. Amazon was founded a year after the first popular internet browser came out in 1993. And Amazon did not have a profitable year until 2003. 20 years after the internet. And now here we are. There's still so much opportunity for everyone to get it right. Every person, every organization, every country can take a share in the age of AI. We just have to get to work. And we have to get to work now. As CEO of GitHub and as a developer, I'm dedicated to accelerating human progress through the power of AI. And I hope you all join me. Thank you so much, Singapore. Thank you, FinTech Festival. It's been an honor, and I hope I see you next time.